Top 10 countries with largest gold reserves. For 11 years in a row, central banks have bought more gold than they have sold. Data from the World Gold Council, WGC, shows that 272.9 tons of bullion were purchased by central banks worldwide in 2020. In comparison to the record-breaking 668 tons added in 2019, purchases in 2018 were a stunning 60% lower. Some central banks were more motivated to sell reserves and add liquidity to their economies as a result of the COVID-19 outbreak. Purchasing was concentrated in the first half of the year, virtually stopped in the third quarter, and then picked back up in the final 3 months. The top 10 nations with the biggest gold reserves are listed here. Netherlands is at 10th position with 612 tons. The Netherlands, the sole newcomer to the list, overtake Turkey to enter the top 10. The Netherlands has historically been a nation that sold more bullion, and they only made this list because they haven't sold any more in recent years and because the Turkish economy has changed under the Erdogan government. The nation repatriated a sizable portion of its gold in 2014. 51% of all Dutch gold was then kept in New York. To balance the numbers at 31% per Amsterdam and New York, 20% of the Netherlands' total gold assets were returned to De Nederlandse Bank. An additional 18% of this total is kept on hand by the Bank of England in London, or about 110 tons, and 20% is kept in Ottawa. Number 9. India, with 760 tons. After China, India has the second highest population in the world. It is also, behind China, the second largest consumer of gold. To provide the region with LBMA, approved metal, the Metals and Minerals Trading Corporation of India, MMTC, has teamed with Swiss refiners PAMP. 6 tons of gold bullion were modestly added to India's reserves over the past year. While this amount is little, it is scarcely surprising considering the nation's ongoing political and economic unrest. Over half of India's gold reserves are held by the Reserve Bank of India in Mumbai, with the remaining. Number 8. 845.98 tons of Japan. Japan's standing on this list of rankings and the amount of gold bullion it currently has in reserve are both unchanged. About 2% of Japan's entire reserves are made up of gold. The nation is in an awkward predicament because its customary practice of routinely purchasing gold was discontinued in 2011 as a result of the Fukushima nuclear accident. Following the catastrophe, the nation sold its gold stockpiles to assist stabilize the economy, and it hasn't exactly continued where it left off. The Japanese yen is another thing to take into account. Along with gold, treasury bonds, and the US dollar, this is a safe haven asset in and of itself. The person who created a competing haven asset would be the one who would not require huge reserves of gold. Number 7. 1,040.01 tons came from Switzerland. The figures for bullion reserve holdings in March 2022 don't significantly change from those for 2021, continuing a trend within the list. Like Japan, Switzerland has not yet added more gold. Switzerland is renowned for its banking industry, tax breaks, and geopolitical neutrality. Despite persistent rumors that it stole Nazi wealth after World War II, Switzerland maintains a solid reputation for financial know-how and facilitating global trade. The majority of the nation's gold reserves, 70%, are kept at the Swiss National Bank in Bern, although it also has 20% at the Bank of England and 10% at the Bank of Canada for safekeeping. Number 6. 948.32 tons came from China. As its economy has begun to catch up to that of the main Western nations, China has started to increase the proportion of its reserves that are held in gold. Previously, the country had a policy of producing gold, selling it, and investing the proceeds back into its economy. Since November, the Asian giant has released monthly updates on its increases to the reserve total, whereas it had only previously provided details about its gold holdings on 4 occasions between 2000 and 2015. We noted in April 2019 that the People's Bank of China had increased the country's gold reserves for 4 consecutive months, accumulating an additional 42.9 tons during that period. But, as of the end of August, the total amount of gold bullion for the year stood at 99 tons. The veracity of the stories regarding China's gold reserves is also questioned. Number 5. 2,302 tons from Russia. Russia surpassed China in 2019 to take the fifth largest gold reserve position in the world. Russia is also the world's third largest producer of gold. Over the past 12 years, President Putin has actively promoted a policy that quietly started a decade earlier, substantially boosting the country's gold reserves. The Russian Federation and the US are frequently at odds, which disadvantages Russia because the US dollar is the main international reserve currency. With the conflict in Ukraine, many anticipate that Russia will keep gold in its reserves to fend against the effects of a depreciating ruble and the severe costs of international sanctions. Whether the world is aware of any fresh gold bullion holdings, however, is a different story. Number 4. 2,436.34 tons came from France. Before selling off 500 tons of gold, France was ranked third. Nicolas Sarkozy, France's president from 2007 to 2012, instructed the Bank of France to take this move. Sarkozy started the sale in May 2004, which resulted in a 20% decrease in France's gold holdings. The idea was to pay off France's debts with the interest earned by investing the funds raised in bonds and currencies. At the Paris offices of the Banque de France, gold is kept. French government reserves and IMF-owned gold are stored in a safe underground vault known as La Souterraine. Number 3. Italy accounted for 2,451.86 tons. Italy has some of the most reliable gold reserves in the world, which is in contrast to the wider economy of the nation. Italy has struggled since the financial crisis of 2008-2009, and as of April 2019, it is experiencing its fourth recession in 10 years. The country's gold reserves, however, have stayed unchanged since 1999, or around 20 years ago, at 2,452 tons. In the 20th century, Italy was a notable exporter and a center of European trade. Even if recent economic hardship has decreased the nation's output and despite its heavy debt loads, Italy continues to be one of the largest European economies. A conflict between Italy's coalition government, Five Star and AMP, Liga, and the European Central Bank was covered by Bullion Bipost back in 2019. The right-wing Lega Nord party said that the ECB wanted to keep Italy's gold out of the hands of the government and the people. Number 2. 3,359.14 tons of gold reserve Germany. The second largest gold reserves in the world are in Germany. Germany's gold is kept in 3 locations: the Bank of England vaults in London, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, and the Deutsche Bundesbank headquarters in Frankfurt's financial sector. The majority of Germany's gold was transferred to allies because of the Cold War. The Bundesbank announced in 2013 that it will repatriate a little over 40% of the nation's gold, of which 20% was held by the United States, 300 tons, and just over 20% by France. This was supposed to be accomplished by 2020 at the latest, but despite American objections, Germany received all of its gold in advance, in 2016. It's interesting to note that Germany likely has the most open disclosure of its assets in the entire world. This is a deliberate policy of the Deutsche Bundesbank, according to which transparency fosters confidence in both investors and the general public. Number 1. 8,133.53 tons came from the United States. Unsurprisingly, the United States has the highest gold reserves, with 763.8 tons more than Germany in second place. Their total is by far the highest of any country on our list, but it is also the topic of criticism. The accuracy issue is the first one. Documents proving the legitimacy of gold bullion stored in Fort Knox in New York have either vanished or been destroyed. Rules put in place in 1974 were meant to result in a single inspection of all of America's bullion, but it has been discovered that gold has been accessed and possibly tampered with since that inspection. The second is taking into account gold holdings in other countries. In times of civil or national turmoil, the U.S., like Britain, France, and Switzerland, has frequently served as a haven for gold bullion holdings. Some people think that America's total reserves also includes Germany's national gold reserves, which were kept in New York until they were repatriated in 2013. Pureness is the last component. Some experts contend that the U.S. holdings are not excellent quality bullion because a large portion of the country's gold reserves came from earlier purchases, and that if they were melted down and turned into 24-karat bars, the entire holding would decrease significantly. Did you like it? Tell us what you think of the video in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting videos.